the multiple videos that have been posted up on YouTube about the GLOVEGATE. That's the new thing right now that's trending through the internet. The GLOVEGATE situation between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder.
Here's the thing. Let me stop you right there. This isn't even GLOVEGATE.
Okay.
The GLOVEGATE was initially GLOVEGATE is Miadana Mayweather. That's GLOVEGATE.
Oh.
This is nothing. This is just a bunch of conspiracy theorists who think that they know anything about gloves, but yet never really ask anybody in the glove business if their theories were factual. And I'm sure myself, I'm sure the team at Reyes, I'm sure Grant Elvis Phillips would have told them the same. This is a bunch of hooey. You can't keep dragging people down in the mud that stake their whole lives in what they put on the fighter's hands. And it was just insulting to hear all the conspiracy theorists, as to why, Fury did this, why did his glove look like that. It was pathetic. Now the original GLOVEGATE, Mayweather Miadana, that was a little bit more layered and just it was actually it had teeth to it, whereas this is just actually silly.
Yeah, I mean, am I wrong to say, man, that it comes down to nationality? Like, because I was talking about this before we got cut off on YouTube. For some reason, YouTube just fell off. But I was saying was this, because it's not like we haven't seen this before, Ernie, where when you have, the Great White Hope, remember that? Gary Cooney, the Great White Hope. There was a lot of folks. Imagine if the internet was at that time, the internet would have broke. It was the Great White Hope. Here's a guy that was going to bring back boxing to the world, folks. It didn't happen. Now you had a long reign for boxing in terms of that there wasn't a black or African American to reign as a heavyweight. And because here's the fact is that Lennox Lewis or anybody else that's not from the States is not considered to a lot of folks as an African American or a black guy. They look at him as a guy from the overseas. He's got a UK. He sounds like a UK guy. He's got to be a white guy. He's not. I can't identify with them. So there is no case in no way, no how he's a black guy. Did we see a lot of guys from here in the States that fall into that trap where they looked at Deontay Wilder as being the black hope, and that's why they can't accept the fact that some guy from the UK by the name of Tyson Fury came over here and just destroyed him?
Well, I don't think it's racist per se. I do think a lot of prejudices come out when their favorite fighters, someone's favorite fighters, faces adversity. And it's the one thing about this sport we have to understand is that it's no LA Lakers, there's no LA Dodgers where you can reach a whole entire team composed of different nationalities and races. These fighters walk in individually, and a lot of fans, rightfully so, identify with the color that, or the nationality, or the race that the fighter is, and I get that. Totally get that. I've had the privilege of being media and Everlast and now Golden Boy, and the one thing that I think I successfully navigate is the ability not to put my nationalities and race into it. Because I'm Mexican and Filipino, and I'm colorblind when it comes to fights. I'm totally colorblind. I don't give preference, nor do I give, hindrance towards someone based off of who they are, the color of their skin or anything like that. But it does happen, and it is prevalent in our sport. And I'd venture to say that a lot of the theories that came out of with regards to Fury's gloves, it came from some African Americans. I think there's a group that LDBC, Lions Den Boxing, something that thrives on that, and I know they went into it with Ishe Smith over some of the things that they were saying, And
they went in,
killed them.
yeah,
Basically.
they went into like deep with Isha Smith.
Yeah, and Isha killed them. One man killed a whole entire group, in my opinion. And you know, if they're crying about the inequalities in boxing,
right now, yes,
you know, they really don't have a leg to stand on. If you think
Right.
about it, because a lot of the theories were, you know, they're not promoting African American fighters correctly. But if you look, Floyd Mayweather was one of the biggest draws to ever grace a boxing ring. Terrence Crawford can sell 10,000 seats away from Omaha. He sold 10,000 for his Khan fight. Errol Spence, everybody kept saying Errol Spence is only going to be able to sell that much in Dallas, but he comes to Staples Center in L.A. and damn near sells it out. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury practically sell out Staples Center here in L.A., do a great number in Las Vegas for the rematch. So I think fans, true hardcore fans, they don't care about the color. They just care about the fight and the magnitude of the fight. So I hope
Ernie, let's talk about the color. Forget about that, because we all know as boxing fans, we erase the color. Every hardcore boxing fan has got a favorite fighter that doesn't even belong in their same like nationality or ethnic. Okay, but let's talk about the guys right now. Walk me through, because you're a guy that's been with Everlast for, God, dude, I don't even, like over a decade or maybe a decade already, okay? Right?
Yeah, since 2008.
Okay, so there we go. So walk me through this, okay? So how does it roll out? Give me roll out the carpet for me. If I'm a fighter and I ask for a particular gloves, okay? What is the process of me getting these gloves? How is it brought to me? Is there a bunch of people? I mean, do I have a chance? I guess the question is, do I have a chance to tamper with these gloves before I either get to the stadium, get inside the ring, and before the fight starts?
I can't speak on any other brands. I don't know the process because I'm not employed by them. What I can tell you is how we do it at Everlast. Okay, this is specifically to custom colored gloves in championship fights, which is what a Wilder Fury fight was. Anything that was custom colored, especially in Nevada, we are to send them to Bob Bennett at the Nevada State Athletic Commission the Wednesday before the fight. So it's not even, we can't even walk them in on Friday. They have to be to Bob Bennett by Wednesday. Okay. Bob Bennett from the commission takes them and puts them away. Yeah, I'm sure I'm probably guessing it's in his office, and he keeps them there until weigh-in. From there, once the weigh-in, it depends. A lot of commissions like to do the glove selection prior to the weigh-in. Some do it after. But there is a time and place where the fighter camps come in, the gloves are laid out on a table by the commission, and the fighters and their teams go through and inspect not only their gloves, but their opponent's gloves. So at some point, Fury's gloves were inspected by Deontay Wilder's team. It's like that for every major fight. So if someone had an issue with the gloves on Wilder's side, they should have brought it up then. And then they could have protested. And normally, 9 times out of 10, if someone has a problem specifically with that pair of gloves or that specific run of gloves, there are backups. Usually, like if we have, say, like someone protests one of our gloves, because they don't like the color, they don't like it, anything, we have stock backups just in case, and we'll present the stock backups. The commission will look at them, fighter teams will look at them, and they go through. This is specific to like anything like custom coloring, custom logos, stuff like that. And there's just no way possible on a fight of that level with titles on the line and arguably one of the best commissions in the world in Nevada There's no way you could sneak one through. You couldn't. You could, back in the day before the Miadana Mayweather fight, I could walk in gloves literally minutes before the glove selection. So from my hands to the commission's hands, it could have been a transition of minutes. But now it's not even close to that. I mean, California Commission, they require 3 pairs, one to hold, one for the primary, one backup, and then one to hold just in case. Same
so
thing
what
with
changed that though? What changed that? What made that
Mayweather
happen?
Maidana.
Really?
Mayweather Maidana changed the Nevada.
Wow.
They changed. It used to be able to present gloves on a Friday afternoon after the weigh-in. No one had seen them until I present them to the commission. Now it's a whole different process. They go through, like with California, they'll open each pair of gloves, inspect them, because they've been trained to inspect these different models, because that's another thing that we do. Before a glove gets introduced to the masses, we send them out to all the commissions. So like if we made a change to our next glove, that's significant enough that we need to kind of almost change the glove. We send them off to all the major commissions, and then if someone else fights in a different state, we'll send it off to the commission to say, hey, this is the glove. But any changes, any moves, any additions to our glove line have to go to the commission. So not only are they aware of custom coloring, custom making gloves for fighters, but they're also have to make themselves aware of each and every model that comes in. So in this case, with the rematch in Vegas, the glove that Fury wore was Poffin, European brand. So somewhere down the line, Team Fury, Poffin, and Nevada had to agree, okay, you need to send us these gloves so we can approve them prior to putting them on Fury's hands. So, and this is done weeks in advance. So when we introduced our elite glove, we had to send them out to all the major commissions for approval. And it's a long process. They'll especially on the states that really are stringent upon gloves. They'll say, hey, we need another pair. We cut this one open, so we want to actually feel what it feels on impact. We want to have someone try it with wraps, and then finally they will say, okay, this is approved for competition. So it's a long process to get pair of gloves to the hands of a fighter, especially at that level.
Wow, that is so interesting, man. I know I got my.
What the funny thing is? The funny thing is that no one really asked a glove person. It doesn't even have to be me, but no one really asked a glove person if this was a legit argument. And they would have said, no, it's not a legit argument. There's too much to get this. Camera. They didn't win. But see, here's the commission is there at the whole time. They're there. They're sitting down. They're making sure that nothing gets by. And a representative from Wilder's team has to go over there to observe the hand wrapping. So
right.
There's too many hurdles to overcome to get one by.
Ernie, it's Amilcar. Nice to hear from you and to hear your expert opinion and insight on this. And it's great to hear you again. I used to actually listen to your show back when you had one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was back today.
Yeah.
The thing is, you mentioned the video. BT Sport video the entire head thing YouTube. And you said multiple pairs are given. All the pairs are actually inspected by the opposing camp, and they're there to watch the whole hand wrapping process. So what was your first reaction?
I was laughing until I realized that these people were actually serious.
So same as me, pretty much.
I really seriously thought it was for shits and giggles, that they were just, mind fucking someone. But then they were legit, and it went on, not just for a couple of days. It went on for a third week, and I'm like, really? I mean, if this is the way I see it, if the conspiracy people thought there was something legitimately wrong with the gloves, they would have to ask someone who works in the glove making business to say, hey, is there something legit? And I venture to say that there wouldn't be a single person that sat there and said, yeah, you're onto something, because it's not possible or feasible to alter a glove from the time, because here's the thing, once the gloves are selected for the fight, they're sealed up, put in bags, and they go back with the commission. So nobody sees these gloves until the commission arrives in the fighter's dressing room, gives them, here's your number one primary pair, here's the backup pair, and that's it. That's clearly that's it. These gloves don't ever really sit in the hands of a fighter for any period of time, other than to put them on and take them off, or to try them. Put them on either at the weigh-in or at the fight, and then take them off. So this whole thing about Fury, having to put it at the cuff, and or you could see, look at the way it bends. No glove bends like that, and that's actually not true. Softer, pliable gloves made with a softer leather will bend like that. And the reason why isn't necessarily to make it a puncher's glove. I think that's just kind of the residual factor out of it. More so to carry with your hands your opponent's shots. We make our gloves like the MX glove is our softest glove, so that way you can actually parry your opponent's shot. And it's a soft glove. I think it goes without saying that it is a soft glove. But a lot of these gloves, especially out of Mexico, are soft like that for that very purpose. So, I mean, I couldn't take it. Never replied to anybody with it, because even when they were going on and on and on, and they were taking it as a serious debate, I just sat there and observed it for the comedic value of it.
So let me ask you this, okay? Because what I've seen with a lot of these conspiracy theorist people, or these people that are truly believing that this is the thing that's happened, there's two things, Ernie. I don't know if you remember the first thing. Let me just kind of backtrack here. I don't know if you remember when I texted, is there horsehair in gloves? And you said, yes, there is.
Yes.
So my question is, because what they're having, this is what these guys do. They're not bringing in a glove expert. What they're doing is they'll bring on a coach that nobody's ever heard of. Some of these coaches I've never heard of. You know what I mean? I'm sorry if I haven't. Maybe I'm not paying attention too much because of the COVID-19. So I apologize if I'm insulting anybody that's a coach. But I've never heard of you. And you're throwing up your expertise standpoint, and they're saying, Ernie, that there's a strong possibility they take out the horsehair, but right when they're walking in the ring. So this is my question: how much percentage of horsehair in the gloves, and how much of the regular padding that they're putting now is in the glove? And if they're taking out whatever the horsehair, Could that make a major factor? And could they possibly do something like that? You know what I mean? Like, if we're going to play along with that, could they do something like that?
Well, here's the thing. Okay. So in the glove manufacturing, the way we do it, there's these nylon sacks that basically hold the materials of a glove inside of it. So foam, horsehair, different layers, different types of foam. You know, like our Power Lock glove is made of, I want to say, 3 different types of foam for various reasons. You know, closer to your knuckle is more protective. A little bit outside is a thinner layer for impact. But all of these gloves are sewn together in nylon packets called tech packs. So if no actual materials are exposed, in other words, they're wrapped up in these nylon packs and then the leather is put on them, there's no way for anybody to take a hole out of it and start pulling stuff out of the glove. That's been prevented that's been in measure for a long time. Because yes, back in the day when they just stuffed a glove with whatever materials compromised the gloves at the time, yeah, you can start pulling stuff out, or you can start picking a hole in the nylon, you know, the nylon sleeve for the hand. You can start pulling it out. But now that's not the case anymore, because all these gloves are now filled with a cartridge full of foam called a nylon tech pack. So there's no way you can get it through, pick at it, and start picking stuff out of it. There's just no way. It doesn't work that way. And you know, it's funny because, you know, everybody talks about the Fury Wilder stuff, but I had to go back to my Mayweather Miadana to learn all about this, because I had to show the commission the nylon tech pack out of an MX glove to show them that there's no way that we can alter it. I had to show them, you know, the actual specs. It's actually the blueprint of our MX fight glove. We had to commission that. We got on several radio shows. Kevin Aioli did an article. Steve Kim did an article. So, you know, this was all the way back in 2012 when they fought, or I forgot when they fought. But yeah, so, you know, it's old news to me. So when they start coming up with these conspiracy theories, and I see these guys, you know, pulling out their Big Five, you know, what's the name, you know, the Big 5 Century, you know, vinyl glove, and they're showing us how you could, you know, take the Velcro off and put it halfway down to your cuff. You know, first off, I'm sitting there saying, okay, wait, they do realize these gloves are laced up, but there's no way you can use a Velcro glove in a title fight like that, or any type of professional fight like that.
Ernie, you know what I heard? This is what I heard. I heard they weren't using horsehair. That what was happening, it was goat hair. That's why it was softer, and that's why every time you heard Fury punch, you would hear the bah, bah. I don't know. That's what I heard, man. you know, let me ask you this, because you were there for the Miadana and Mayweather. The bottle being, I think is the bigger story here. The bottle being thrown by the Garcias, did it have Gatorade, or was it water that was in the bottle? Answer me that.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
You liar. Man, you were there. I heard you were filling up. I heard you were filling it up with Gatorade.
Honestly and truthfully, when we walked out of that fiasco and on our way to Hard Rock for because there was a card that day after the weigh-in. I want to say Ishe Smith fought that Friday, and we were on our way to the Hard Rock. Everybody kept saying, fights off. Robert Garcia was telling me, fuck him. Fuck Mayweather, fuck Floyd, fights off. We're not going to fight him. We wear MX. So that was it. I mean, I was for all intents. Because here's what happened. So the custom-colored Miadana gloves we made, nobody approved them. They didn't like them. They kept going back and forth. The commission even said, you know, this is a legit glove. We've inspected it, you know, this and that. But Floyd Sr. and their lawyer and Leonard too, kept insisting, no, you're not going to fight in this glove. So this is what happened. Since we had a card that day at the Hard Rock, we had enough stock red MX to send over. So we pulled as many red MXs as we could, sent them over to the weigh-in, and we laid them out. Commission said these are in stock. Floyd Sr. and Leonard didn't even bother looking at them. Said, no, I don't care where you got these from. I don't care if they're stock. He's not fighting in the glove, no matter what. So for all intents and purposes, that fight was off. I mean, I walked out of there. I interviewed with Fight Hype, and I said, hey, I think the fight's off. You know, I'm talking
Can I ask you something, Ernie? If that happens, who's financially responsible for the card being canceled? It's got to be the Mayweather camp, right?
Yeah, I would say no one wins at this. I would say, honestly, to be frank, I would say you'd probably still have legal ramifications out of this to that day if it didn't come off. I would think there would still be lawsuits pending. I mean, it was a real tangled mess that we were in, and from what I understand from Miadana's side, a little cash was given to their side, and the fight came off. But for a long spell, so about 9:30, I got a call from Leonard Ellaby. He said, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Sure." So I go down to the VIP area at MGM, and we're talking. He goes, "You know what? I respect you. You really fought for your glove, and you gave us all the factual information. But truth of the matter is that no way will Floyd fight Miadana in that glove." And I told him, I said, you do understand, Cotto did fight in this glove before. And he goes, "Yeah, I know. But that was a different weight. Those were 10-ounce gloves. We're talking about 8-ounce gloves." I said, "Fair enough." He goes, "But there's been an agreement." I said, "Okay." So I said, "What is Miadana wearing?" "He's going to wear your glove, but it's going to be the power lock." I said, "Okay, fine. That's as long as Miadana's happy with it, that's fine." So,
so what was the difference?
The power lock is all foam, and it's a glove that's made overseas. I want to say India. It might be made in India. I forget offhand where it's made, but yeah, it's an all foam glove. It's got a detached thumb, so that way the thumb positioning is a little bit more natural to the hand. So it's actually
but explain this to me, Ernie, because I know you have sparring gloves and then you have training gloves. I mean, is that the difference? Is there a difference in what the Mayweather camp was asking for?
Well, I think they wanted to make sure that Miadana fought in a glove that was all foam, that was a little bit stiffer than the MX offered. Now, to get to your question about sparring, training, and stuff like that, sparring, training gloves, stuff like that, they're the professional level and just below the professional level. They're built to last. They're built to withstand, a couple hundred rounds of heavy bag or sparring or whatever. The fight gloves, and everybody's fight gloves are the same. They're not built necessarily to last a couple hundred rounds. They're built to last maybe, I don't know, at max 40 rounds, 4 10-round fights at max. And you shouldn't be using them. Now, smaller promoters will keep using and recycling gloves until, they literally fall off their hands. But at a bigger level, generally, promoters will only use a glove a couple times. They keep track of all this, how many rounds it's done. If it's only done 1 round, great, we can use them for a couple more fights. If it's done 10 rounds, all the sweat, all the water.
And what does that determine, though? Ernie, what does that determine? What is like the stitching? What is it? How do they determine that? Is it the way it's stitched up, the foam or the horsehair that's provided inside the glove?
If I were to discontinue a glove out of circulation for a fight, mostly because of the impact area has been pushed in a little bit or compensated a little bit. It's basically off of usage. You also have to count when a fighter gets doused in water, that water goes down his arm, and it filters into the glove. Now, all that water soaks into the foam, and it starts depressing the foam a little bit. So now you've got a glove filled with water where the foam is now kind of soggy. So if you're continuing to punch someone with that, then it starts impacting the foam just a little bit more to where it's almost thinning out the foam. So big usage gloves like that, you're not going to get that with a fight glove. It's just not. No one in their right mind would do that. You know, and that's every manufacturer. You know, they're not necessarily built to withstand 200, 300 rounds like a good training glove. It's more, you know, it's more like I always liken it to like fight gloves are basically a race car with no frills, no luxuries, nothing. It's just a race car. It's meant to go fast. You know, training gloves are your luxury SUVs. They're gonna be the most comfortable thing that you have. You know, and that's kind of the difference between the two. Fight gloves are meant.
Sounds like my condoms. You know. You know, the rigid. Oh, sorry. This is a family program. My bad. I forgot all about it.
I've got a different question out of kind of left field.
Go ahead.
But are there like vegan gloves that are not made with like animal products?
There are actually our Elite Pro training line.
Yeah,
it feels like leather, but it's not. It's not leather. I would venture to say our Elite Pro line. The reason why I know this is because former baseball player Ricky Romero, a good friend of mine, I sent him some gear, and he really liked the gloves. And he goes, you know, it's too bad my wife's vegan. She doesn't like to put anything. I said, actually, our Elite glove. He goes, no. I said, yeah. He goes, it feels like leather. I said, no, I know, but it's synthetic. He goes,
oh, that's
awesome.
So we do make a synthetic leather glove that's very, very durable. I would venture to say our Elite training gloves are the longest gloves we have.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's interesting. That's like wow. I would have never thought about that, or would have noticed the difference.
You have to take into account. You have to take into account things like that. If you really want to be a successful, company, you have to take into account everything, and we do.
You remember back in the day where everybody used to think that the Reyes gloves were the puncher's glove? How hard was it for you guys as a brand to kind of change that perspective of that? Because that's not true, right, Ernie?
It took a lot. I mean, honestly, when I came in 2008, the preferred training glove was the preferred fight gloves were Reyes, and for the very reason that you said. But when they hired me, when Everlast hired me, they were on the verge of launching 3 different gloves: the Protex 3, the 1910, and then the MX. The Protex 3 was the most protective. It was a high density foam. It was very minimal impact to your hands. The 1910 was kind of the next evolution of our generic, basic, everyday fight glove. And then the MX was our foam and horsehair, really soft leather puncher's glove. And, it was hard to convince people to give our glove a chance, especially since we went through some growing pains with that glove, because we tried to get the fit just right to where I think we had problems with it, like closing a fist. So if you didn't close the fist, it would hurt your hand. And we really tried hard to remedy a lot of the issues we had way back in the day, to the point where I think right around, I don't know, maybe a year later, we started perfecting it, and it became a really high-performance glove for us. In fact, I would venture to say that the MX is probably more favored than our Powerlock. Our Powerlock is probably our most widely sought across the board glove, because for like promoters, you can reuse it, because since it's foam, it doesn't break down as much as, say, the MX. But our MX is the preferred glove. I mean, and we've perfected it and kind of just tinkered with it to the point where I think it's a really good glove. It's a weird science. I'm telling you. People think that all you're doing is stuffing foam into a leather thing and there's a glove. It's an exact science. I befriended our design manager, our design guy, and he he would show me all the sciences that goes into it, all the stuff, all the prototypes he would have of just various things, of various gloves, various ideas was mind-boggling. I mean, some of the stuff he was showing me on my last visit was like, and not even thought of. I mean, I couldn't even think of it. It's just a creative science to it. And it's got to be an exacting science because, I mean, if you put too much foam,
it really does
make it too bulky. Yeah.
Right.
It can be a non. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because, you know, like my oldest son, Tristan, it's just like me. My wrist is one of those where you got to work out the most because it'll bend when you punch. Like when I jab, my wrist will hurt immediately. And I know, like using like a Grant glove, which are very good gloves. I'm not knocking them down. They're very good glove, okay? But they don't hold your wrist the same way an Everlast. Like you wear that, there's a completely different padding that it's more tight around your wrist. So even if you hand wrap it and you hand wrap it correctly around your wrist, it just gives you like a little extra support above the your wrist going over your, like, you know, your forearm and your knuckle. And it helps to strengthen out. So there is a science to it. And I knowing that, I used to think before, like, a glove is a glove. Like, you know, that's why the old-timers used to wear socks. And it's not that way. That's why the old-timers, their hands used to get busted up. They had, hand problems. Now you're hearing more. You don't really, I mean, actually, you're not hearing a whole lot. Where fighters are saying they're having a lot of hand problems because of the gloves. Gloves are being used or catering to specific way of a person gloving them on and throwing a punch. It really is a science, man. I agree with you.
Yep, it's a science, and there's different materials now. It's not just basic foam, basic horsehair, basic things. You know, there's different leathers. There's different types of impact foam. There's just the way a glove can be constructed. Where you back pad it more for wrist protection, or you front load it for more hand protection. And you have to get it just right to make sure that it's protective enough to not hurt your hands through several rounds, but still have enough impact to where you get your punches across, or the weight transferring of a punch, is maximized. It's like anything that's professional. It's like a golf club. You put the weight here to make it go higher. You put the weight here to make it, draw more or stay low or cut through wind. And it's like the same thing with boxing gloves. It's a science, and it's very, very exact and specific.